Beamon Battie the
Yeah,
third.
here I am. Thank you.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, man.
You know, I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and I know you're a very busy guy.
We seem to be pretty busy.
And you're up in Clearwater.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah,
long hike for you to
Clearwater.
get down here.
Yeah, not too bad. We actually got here a little earlier today. We came up here about 2-3 o'clock. Had a little lunch down at one of the places downtown and take our time because traffic on
It's crazy.
275 is crazy. Is not even the word to describe
Well,
it.
thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to interviewing you and talking about, your musical journey and letting all of our viewers know, who you are and how you got into music. First and foremost, your band is Crossfire Creek.
That's correct.
You guys are very good. You're very in demand.
Thank you.
It seems like you're playing all the time, man. It's like you always got a gig.
We are right now for the next 2-3 months. We are about 4 or 5 shows a week right now, at the least. So it's been very busy and exciting and fun. So I can't complain.
What's your geographical territory? Like, would you say you play?
Mostly the west coast of Florida right now, down from Cape Coral on up to Homosassa and in between. But we do get down to the East Coast, Hollywood, Florida. We got our first shows now in Texas coming up this year.
No kidding.
Yeah, Texas. We got 3 shows in Texas, Alabama, and I think we're working on a couple of shows up in Ohio, private events, kind of a thingy going on. So
how long have you been in the band?
I've been in the band this will be going into 5 years in October.
Wow.
Yeah.
And tell us your lineup. Who's currently in the band?
So right now I call the core 3, obviously myself. I am the owner of Crossfire Creek. And then I've got Oscar, which is my guitarist. He was originally guitarist. He went to bass, but now he's back on guitar. And then my drummer, Brandon. We're like the core 3. We just lost 2 members about 3 weeks ago and replaced with 2 others. So we had a keyboard player and Rick Morgan, who used to play with Soul Circus Cowboys. He's now back with
I
Soul
love those
Circus.
guys.
Yeah, they're the great band too. And so he's back with them. So now I've got 2 guys named Jimmy. He's the guitar player, but he also plays lap steel. This guy is a monster musician. He plays banjo, lap steel, keys, plays a little bit of drums. So he's on the guitar lap steel for right now. And then my bass player is a gentleman named Junie B, and he's up in Clearwater, Tampa too.
Fantastic. So most of the guys live in the Clearwater area?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, we're kind of spread about, but for the most part, Clearwater, Tampa.
And how would you describe your music? Is it 100% country? Is it a mix of different types of things? Is there rock in there?
I'll say this. We do the country music, the new country music, mostly that's out right now. But everybody's background's a little different. So they kind of put their own little flavor into it. So, but we're really high energy. So some of the songs we actually speed up a little bit more than the original. And if you want to call us a country band, you can do it because we do the new country, what's on the radio. But for the most part, we kind of consider ourselves a dance rock country band because we're more of a
You're entertainers.
Yeah, entertainers. Yeah.
So when people come to your show, what can they expect?
They can expect high energy, dancing, just having a great time, and just being there and just allowing yourself to be yourself and have a good time. And
you guys like to fire song after song, like boom, 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 boom?
No, not for the most. I mean, we try. Honestly, we're still working things out, and I would obviously love to create that where you're one song you can kind of go into the next. But see, I change my set list up every show. I kind of cater it to. We got about 190 songs, 200 songs, and so depending on where we're going, because sometimes we play on the beach, sometimes we're playing at a dance hall, and the demographics and the fan base is a little different. So I try to change it up and makes it hard when you're changing up songs to be able to this song may not always lead really well into the next song.
Sure.
So it changes constantly.
So I have 2 rules, and one of them is know the room.
Mm-hmm.
So by you doing that, you're playing to the room.
Exactly.
So by constantly changing up your set lists,
yes,
that's what you're doing. Because for an example, like Jacked Up, we'll play at the Gator Club, which is a high dance energy, high level dance. That set list will be completely different than when we do a 12 noon down at the biker bar.
Exactly. And I've seen bands, and I haven't been doing this very long, but I'm a dancer first, actually. I consider myself a dancer before a singer. And growing up, my ex-girlfriend at the time, she used to love to go to bars, and because she knew the bartender, and before we go to dance club, you got to get your strong drink. So I'd go in there and I'd watch these bands, and I just kind of watch them. They just stand there and they just kind of, some bands, they just stand there the whole night, and I get bored very, very quickly. So doing this, I just love to dance, and I try to incorporate dancing and movement within the singing to express the music that I'm doing. Because the music is what it's all about. It's emotions. And if you're just there, I'm not a Chris Stapleton. I'm not some guy that can stand there with an awesome voice and wow you. Um, I consider myself an average singer, but I can make you feel the song through whether it's a finger point or an arm movement or some kind of
So basically, you're a good frontman.
I don't know.
Because the definition of a frontman
yeah,
to me isn't necessarily like David Lee Roth, not a
yeah,
great singer,
yeah.
but a great frontman.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes musicians, us as musicians, we kind of think our talent, the way we sing or the way we play guitar or the drums is what captivates people. But really, people they just want to have a good time. They just want to be part of what's going on.
To piggyback on that, I think it's an energy. I think what's happening is you're
Mm,
creating an energy, you're
yes.
creating a vibe, you're
It,
creating a scene.
it's
So they
exactly what it
see you up
is.
there, they see you moving around, dancing,
Mhm.
smiling. I'm assuming that you're wireless on your microphone.
Yes, I am
So you can
wireless.
go into the audience.
Yes. And I'm in
And
ears as
you're
well.
using the inner ears
Yes,
too. So you can sing anywhere in the room.
exactly.
Do you purposely play songs that like will have people line dancing, then maybe you'll even get down there and join them?
Well, I don't line dance. I'm more of a freestyle. If it's too structured, I kind of tend to get freaked out. I'm not an inbox kind of guy, and I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later because I approach owning this band probably different than most musicians and bands have used to. But when it comes to picking songs or whatever, to me, if I know we're going to like say like Joyland, well, Joyland's probably changed from last time I've been there, but like the Cowboys Dance Hall up in Clearwater, it's a dance hall where line dancers are. So I'll cater my songs to that.
So would you say that's more of a proper country bar?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, they want line dancing. You better play those songs
Right.
exactly how they
Like,
hear
yeah,
it. Yeah,
sure.
exactly, exactly.
I have a question. I'm not a big country guy. We play
Mhm,
country music and I do enjoy it. But what's the definition between old and new country? For an example,
mhm,
I know new country, you just made a statement that's on the radio right now.
mhm.
But when did that start? Like, is Garth Brooks, was he considered new country at the time?
You know,
Or is now he's considered old country? Where does the line start and the line stop?
It kind of just depends on popular opinion. You ask somebody from the 1960s, 50s about country music in the 80s, and they're going to tell you that's not country. And then you listen to people from the 90s and today and tell you that it's, I think really you got the purists who are country music fans, and you're talking about George Strait, you're talking about the legends that kind of shaped the closest of the generation that I'm close to now. But I mean, you can go back even further than that, Conway Twitty and stuff like that. The music just kind of evolves and change. But and that's one thing I don't like to try to get caught up in because folks will talk about country music like today.
You take it seriously, right?
Yeah, the purists especially because you can get those folks that like, let's face it, country music today, most of the songs it has to have beer, truck, cowboy boots, and you throw in a banjo and a twang in there, and it's country music. Um, but back the real country music and why I really love country music is because it kind of tells a story. It's something country music to me is about everyday life that people can relate to. Now, that's kind of in a lyrical form, but you can still write music that talks about life, but now the feeling of it changes. Um, a lot of the folks when you hear country music, they think of that slower twang, like "Tater in My Beer" kind of slow stuff. But a lot of the songs today are they're very poppy rock. Um,
Overly produced, perhaps.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I mean, listen, Taylor Swift is obviously hitting a home run.
yes,
And she's, the richest, most famous, most
yes,
popular, and she sells out stadiums.
yes,
And perhaps maybe a purist might find her music to be blah.
exactly, yeah,
And but their kids and grandkids love it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But here's the thing: Garth Brooks came on the scene. Okay, Garth Brooks changed everything, man,
yeah, yeah.
because he came out in the '90s,
Hmm.
and I think that was the boom, man. Ticket sales. I mean, he has a documentary on. I
Hmm.
think he has two of them actually on
Hmm.
Netflix, where he talks about coming into the business, paying his dues, and then he just took off like a rocket ship.
Yeah,
And I think the internet started coming out, MTV, like there were reasons why his media expanded,
yeah.
Um, and so would you consider where do you place a guy like Garth Brooks in your opinion? Like,
Um, you know, again, I don't like to put people in categories because everybody is art is different, and we like to tend to put things in categories because it makes us feel safe. This is country music, this is rap. I mean, even if you go into the rap scene, like you listen to, have friends that listen to rap back in the '90s, and they talk about the mumble rap today. It's not rap, and every generation is different.
yeah,
And for me personally, music is music, man. If you want to if you want to get mad at me and say that my music's not country or this or that, that's your problem. You don't have to listen to me, you know. But I I'm Crossfire Creek. Let's say I'm doing Crossfire Creek. I cover the new country. Now, most of our fans aren't even country. Our number one comment is I don't like country, but
But they're having a good time.
they're having a good time.
Okay.
And most of our fans that see us for the first time, they think those are our originals. They don't even know like they're
Sure.
our song. They're
Some
like,
of the younger kids, right?
yeah, they want to ask for our. I'm like, well, that's not our music. Oh, look, you don't do that, you know. But again, to answer your question, I don't like categories really. You know, if you're having a good time at a Crossfire Creek show or a jacked up show, just have fun. Why do you got to sit there and pick? Oh, this isn't country. Oh, this isn't rock. Oh, this isn't. You know, it's just you're having a good time.
Okay.
You know, we're here in the moment, man.
Fair enough.
That's yeah, that's what it is.
So let's talk about your early days.
Okay.
Let's talk about when you were a kid and
Okay.
you were listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Maybe you were involved in school plays or
Uh-huh.
school musicals, or like, how did you come across music? How did you find music? How did you start out?
Well, my dad is a musician. He's a trombone player. He played in the Air Force band, um, and he originally got me playing trombone. So if you can imagine, like an 8-year-old trying to carry a trombone as in middle school or elementary school, probably pretty uncool. Um, but my dad played it, and so I started playing the trombone. Um, but I really sang. I'm half Filipino. I don't know if you know us Filipinos. We love karaoke, and we're pretty good at it. But I've always sang. My mom sang. My dad sang. I grew up I was born in '74, and I grew up in the '80s.
So a
Really,
lot of music in the house.
yeah, a lot of music in the house, and a lot of influence. My dad listened to everything from Stevie Wonder to Johnny Cash to classical to orchestras to symphonies to you name it, Motown. I grew up with all.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of radio. I'm from New York, and there's a lot of radio stations. So they had a station for every type of music.
Exactly, yeah.
So you had a lot of choices.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, back in the day, so
Well, good. So, what are some of your favorite bands right now? Like, do you get to go to concerts? Or are you so busy you don't
yeah,
even
I don't really
you
get
even
to
get
go to
out?
concerts, and to be honest, as a guy that's in a band, I'm not a big band guy. I love dancing, like, dancing is like, for me, if I had a Saturday night right now or a Friday night, and if I still could, if I was young enough, I'd probably go to the club and dance my butt off,
Cool.
and I'd close my eyes and, just dance.
You're probably getting a good workout too at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, well, I'm 50, I still try to keep in good shape. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as bands, I'm a big Creed fan. I love Creed, Scott Stapp. When it came to live music, I really got probably into live music in the '90s with the grunge bands, Pearl Jam, Stain, going into Linkin Park, Creed, like I mentioned. Um, but like the older bands, like Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. I actually lived in Mexico for 8 years, from 2011 to 2018, 19. And believe it or not, like Led Zeppelin, I didn't really hear about them until I was in Mexico, because in Mexico they're a little behind um, as far as when it comes to music. And like that's when I really, I guess you could say, opened up to live music and really hearing about Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and things like that, from being in Mexico, really.
As a kid, I was a big classic rock guy. Still am,
Hmm.
and I was the youngest of four, so I had older brothers and sisters that handed records down. But I always liked the live albums. I was always into the live
Hmm.
experience, like
Yeah.
Zeppelin live, Peter Frampton live. Whenever the album was live, I really enjoyed listening to more than the studio records
Uh-huh.
because I just loved hearing the crowd, man. And I
Yeah.
loved hearing like the electricity and the spontaneity of live music.
Uh-huh.
So that's what really got me like excited.
Uh-huh.
Today to this day, as being in Jacked Up, and being live, sometimes, like you said earlier, you put together an experience for people,
Hmm.
and sometimes music comes out a little different than what it was intended, for
Hmm.
better or for worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes there's incredible jams that Larry and I will just go off and start playing,
Yeah.
and then see where it goes within the context of the song.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that experience.
Yeah. Well, again, it comes down to who you're playing in front of. I find that a lot of our audience members, if we seem like we're gonna jam too much, they kind of like are like, all right, let's get
Reel it
going.
in.
Yeah, let's reel it in. Um, when it comes to live music, and you're saying as albums, I love that aspect of it too. I love the feeling of it. Sometimes overproduced music um can just not feel real, especially when you hear the album and then you go see somebody live and it's like, this isn't not what I heard on the album. And as an artist that is new to the music business, I don't want to be. one of these musicians or bands that when you hear the album, it's one way, and then you hear us live, it's totally not what you hear. I'd like to be as close as possible,
So,
you know.
so as you mentioned, since you're doing some of this new country, right?
Yes,
And people are having a really good time watching you guys. You're trying to be true to the album, trying to be true to
exactly.
the song.
Yeah, I try to, and obviously, you know, you try your best. You can't really replicate. Sometimes you got banjos, you got fiddles, and you know, behind the scenes, the production aspect, they've got
I
so
know
much
it's
going
so many
on.
layers of music, right?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate that most of the musicians that have been in the band, they've been great musicians to where they can at least fill in
Sure,
and hit the main parts that
right.
make the song the song. You know, I've had a couple of musicians that they, you know, they kind of try to put their little taste on it. And I don't know if you know country fans, then they're true to what they want. They want what they want, and you can't really divert from that. And so, but for the most part, we stick pretty close to what you hear on the
Well, it's funny
radio.
because I'm a New York kid, right? So I
Mhm.
moved to Florida many, many years ago, and I worked in Georgia. And by working in Atlanta, sometimes my work had me going into some of the suburbs,
Yeah.
and there were so many people from Georgia that were so country. I mean,
Mhm.
so country, like that's all they would listen to,
Yeah.
man. And you know, they start them young.
Yeah.
You know, at a young age, they're listening to the radio and they're singing songs, and maybe their parents turned them onto it.
Uh-huh.
But it seems like country seems to be really prevalent in the South.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, up in New York, you know, yeah, there's a big radio station up there. It's country, and
Mhm.
there's millions of people in New York City. So there was one of the best country music stations rating wise is up in New York. It's hard to believe that, right?
Mhm.
But I remember New York, there were so many other types of music that not my family and friends weren't really listening to the country. So I
Mhm.
didn't get exposed to country until I moved down here
Mhm.
to the extent that I am exposed to it now.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, Netflix, you start seeing
Yeah,
documentaries and,
yeah.
you know, you learn about Taylor Swift. Now, here's the thing with Taylor. I've never been to one of her shows, but I certainly would go.
Yeah.
If somebody said, here's a ticket or you can purchase a ticket, I would go see Taylor just to see
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I have a lot of respect for her. I got to go to the Grammys twice in my
Oh,
lifetime,
wow.
and in both times she performed live.
Uh-huh.
And I was blessed and fortunate that I was with a bunch of CBS executives,
Uh-huh.
so I got to sit in like one of the best sections where you can see everything real clear.
Nice.
And Taylor Swift was just unbelievable. Like
Mhm.
the amount of talent that that woman has.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, sometimes I don't get why some people just, especially as a musician, you know, you're gonna hate on other musicians for doing what they want to do and they're making money at it. And then in the next breath, you talk about how you're not making a living because you're trying to stay true or within a box or confine of what you feel is what is. Like just be yourself and do what you love and don't worry about anybody else, you know?
Well, every musician, every band puts out a product.
Yeah.
And the great thing about living in this country is that you have the freedom to
Yeah.
decide if you want to purchase
Yeah,
that
exactly.
product.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, if you happen to like this brand of automotive, you know,
Mhm.
that you guys,
Yeah.
if you're a
Yeah.
Ford guy, you're a Ford guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a Ford guy. I love Ford.
I'm a Ford guy too.
In
Yeah.
fact, I saw your truck.
Yeah.
It's huge, man. Is that a 350?
It's a 250.
Man,
Yeah. No,
things look,
yeah.
it's massive.
Thank you.
But the point I'm trying to make, and you started this whole conversation. It's like, look, man, we're going to put together a product. We're going to entertain you.
Mhm.
Come have a few drinks, dance. You
Mhm.
know, the great thing about 22N is that they were telling stories about how people have met and fell in love at their
Yeah. Yeah.
shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
People have gotten married.
Yeah.
And then they would come back and say, you know, we fell in love and met
Yeah.
at the 22N show. So every year we're going to
Yeah.
come and celebrate our anniversary with you
Yeah,
guys.
we got some of those too.
Isn't that
Yeah,
great?
it's crazy, man. Like we get people that like, oh yeah, we met at your show 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Now we're engaged or now we're married. We get folks that were just down here on vacation from Ohio or up north somewhere, and now they plan their vacations around shows that we have. It's just a crazy
Now, are
thing.
most of your shows 2 sets or 3 sets?
We do 2 sets.
So is it usually a 3 hour show, like a 7 to
Four,
10,
well,
8 to
hour.
11?
Yeah.
So if you're doing a 4 hour block,
Mhm.
let's say you're contracted to go 8 to midnight.
Okay.
You'll just turn that into 2 big sets.
Exactly. So 9 will go from. So you said 8. So we'll go 8 to 9:45.
That's a long set,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah. But it goes by fast, man.
And then how long would you break for?
It depends. So I'm a very hands-on, very observant person. I'm always watching. I'm looking, I'm seeing if people are leaving. If I see like people are starting to get a little antsy, then I'll get on there a little earlier and come back. Because I'm not there for me. I'm there for the, you know, one thing I always say is, you know, we might be playing at a venue, but it's not for just for Crossfire Creek. We're there to help the venue make money too. So
Sell drinks.
if
Yeah.
I can keep
I
people
mean, let's think about it.
there,
We're trying to sell food and drinks.
exactly. And it benefits you because if, for example, you know, you got a couple there that's there for a meal. They're not there for the band. They're just there eating, right? And then you start in the middle of their dinner And if you capture them, but if you're only playing for an hour, now they're like, well, they're like, oh, great band, but they'll most likely leave, you know. But if you can keep them there for after they get done eating another hour, hour and a half, now you've kept them there. Our greatest problem is most of these places we play at, they've got 3 hour table wait time because nobody leaves. And I noticed that in the beginning because when Crossfire Creek started, we play for an hour. We do 3 sets in a 4 hour night. We do 3 sets and we'll do like a 30-minute break. But you'll realize, people start leaving and then you take them 30-minute break and people are just,
I think 30 minutes is too long.
yeah,
We used
yeah,
to always do 30-minute breaks.
yeah.
And now we've shortened them up because just to your point,
Hmm.
people may leave.
Hmm.
We're paid to entertain. It's not about
Yes,
us. It's about them.
exactly, man.
You know,
And I think some folks lose sight of that. They, if everybody, if you look at a show outside of just it being about you, the band, and God forbid you as a singer or guitar player, if make it about you, you've just made it about you. It's not about the fans. It's not about the venue. But if you can keep people there, and when you come back to that venue next time, you got a bigger crowd, you can ask for more money.
and I think another important part is the relationships that we have with the venues.
Hmm.
So, for an example, I usually lay out my entire calendar. Like I'll book my entire year
Hmm.
in like July, August, September, book the next year.
Yes.
And a lot of the venues that we play at, and I think we have a couple common venues, but a lot of the ones we do, it's like a monthly appearance,
Hmm.
you know. And the great thing about it is that you put it out, so it's on the website. You can do Facebook invites, but
Yeah.
you let people know well in advance when you're coming,
Yeah.
so that people can play. Because you know what's funny? People that come to this part of the country, right? They come in like March and April,
Hmm.
whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month.
Hmm.
They want to. They come down to do things like they want to go to seafood festivals.
Yeah.
They want to go to the Cortez thing. They want to go to the country thing. They have a whole agenda of things that they want to do.
Yeah.
Like there are people that show up in jacked up shirts. I only see them like 2 weeks out of the year.
Uh-huh.
They bring their shirts, they put them on, they come to the jacked up shows, then they go back to Michigan.
Yeah. 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 Um, we kind of do a little different. We don't try to hit up. I think maybe we probably do Stoudemire's probably the same, right?
Yeah.
Probably Stoudemire's.
We're gonna be there tomorrow night.
Oh,
Actually.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's jacked up at Stoudemire's tomorrow. You hear that? We were just there, I think, 2 weeks ago. So we don't like to go to places monthly. We try to wait once every 3-4 months because we try to make ourselves rare.
Sure.
Um, and that strategy was pretty much implemented by my wife, who is also our manager. And she thought about that. And it's starting to pay off because we really noticed in the past 3 or 4 months, especially. I mean, the venues are at capacity because we're not there for 2-3
That's
months.
very smart.
And when
Very
we
smart.
do go there, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like we were just at a place called Whiskey Wings Tarpon Springs, also Tap House North, which is up in Clearwater, Tampa, where we're from. It was crazy. I mean, they like the venue literally had to call other restaurants that the owner owned to get those folks to come in and
Wow.
cover because it was so crazy. But we again, I said earlier, I don't like to be in a box, and I come from a different perspective. I haven't been a musician all my life. I've been doing this 4 years, but I've seen how bands operate and they move. And I think what happens is when you're in a band since you were 15, 16, 17, and you go through 20, 30, 40 years, you kind of stuck in that. I wouldn't say stuck, but you learn from your previous generations or you musicians that have been in bands as you grow. And they kind of do the same thing because everybody in the music is like, oh, I know what it takes to make it, right? I've ran into so many like, oh, I know what it takes. And when I'm thinking, I'm like, well, why are you still here? And I have no fault with somebody that comes in and they try to tell me exactly what I need to do. But at the same time, I try to just take what I feel applies to Crossfire Creek and then apply it to what I feel. I go by a lot of feelings on
Well,
things.
you know what? The bottom line here, man, is you're creating art when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're an artist.
Hmm.
So, the music you pick, the way you perform that music, what you
Hmm.
wear, how you dance, how you act, you're
Hmm.
creating something. So
Yeah.
to your point, this is your band, this is your
Hmm.
baby.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do what you feel, and maybe you not being in the industry,
Hmm.
and coming to it late
Yes.
gives you a different and maybe even a better
Exactly.
perspective.
I don't know if it's better. It is definitely different. And I think I've noticed some of the musicians that I've had in Crossfire Creek, they have a hard time with that. because, and I don't mean to be insensitive about this, but like for me personally, I don't care who you are, who you played with, how great of a guitarist, drummer you are. If you don't fit into the vibe, the culture that I've built within Crossfire Creek, I could have Slash come into Crossfire Creek, but if he doesn't fit within that, he doesn't do me any good.
Right.
And I think some musicians take that offense to that because they don't see it that way. It's not that I don't like you as a guitarist, but or a drummer, but you're not you're not fitting. You're not. I always say this: a band to me is like a chord. You got certain notes that fit within a chord. Now you may be a note, but you just don't fit within that chord. Not to say you're a bad note within the chord, but I mean you're a great note. You may be fit in another chord, but you're not
Sure.
going to fit in this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But I don't. Again, I don't care if you opened up for whoever back in 1980 or 1999. What can you do for Crossfire Creek 2025,
Yeah.
April
I agree
1st?
with that statement. I think it's about personality,
Mhm.
right? It's about how somebody handles themselves,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's about how they fit within the team dynamic. Because let's
It,
face it, it is a
it's
team,
it is a team. It's a team.
right?
It's a brotherhood, man.
So like I agree with you, man. Like I've auditioned really, really good players,
Yeah,
and maybe some of them even rest on their laurels about what they did 20 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm like, is it the kind of guy or gal that I want to have a beer with?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
is it somebody who, I could see, lugging my gear out
yeah,
at 2 in the morning and then going to the Waffle House,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
because there's those types of experiences are happening. It's like a family, right?
Hmm.
It's like the good and the bad.
Bad.
It
It
all
come
comes together.
together. Yeah. I love the fact that when we end a show, like my sound guy, sound tech James Alessio, he's great. He's a great guy, man. But he's by himself. Like, and he's there sometimes 3 hours before the show. And then if I leave him with all that gear at the end of the show, he's probably there for another hour and a half, 2 hours by himself. So within Crossfire Creek, now I don't make the guys stay and help, but I kind of suggest it. I'm like, because my sound tech to me is another member of the band.
Sure.
Period. I don't care what you
Yeah,
say.
he's a sixth member.
He is a six member because no matter how great we are on that stage, if whatever comes out of those speakers, those mains is doo doo, it's not gonna. Doesn't matter.
Now, is that Crossfire Creek's gear or is that his gear?
It's his gear. It
Okay,
is
so,
his
so
gear.
you contract him to come on board to
Yeah,
do your sound. Now, does he do all your shows?
he does 99.5%. So when we do festivals and stuff, obviously they have their own
Right.
sound. Now we are getting to the point where we would like for him to mix us no matter what. We try to ask. There's some places we go to like, hey, well, they say we got our own sound guy, but we were like, well, we have our sound guy. He knows us. We'd
Right.
like for him. Now, some people say yes, some
Sure.
will no, but we're trying to get to that point where he is doing because
Because you want to have the specific thing
yeah,
sound,
we want to be
you know.
consistent
Right.
with all the shows we do, and you never know who's got in the
And
audience
do,
watching.
do you sometimes will use effects on your voice? Like for an example, when I sing Billy Idol,
Yeah,
I tell the guy to crank up the reverb a little bit more and
uh,
give me a little bit of echo,
yeah.
for that some of that,
I don't personally ask for it. I leave that up to James.
so he knows.
He knows.
Right.
I don't hear it because obviously I'm in my in ears
Right.
and what I hear is here.
Right.
Now there's some songs where I'll take it out and I'll hear it and I can hear him put some stuff, on it, but I don't ask him. I leave it up to him to make that judgment because I trust him to be able to do what he does.
Is
He's a
everybody in
sound-
the band using ears?
No, no. For some reason, guitarists don't like in ears. But for the most part, we're trying to get to that point. But I'm trying to find a balance because at first I did want everybody on in ears and being ampless. They got digital these days,
Sure,
and I know it's hard for a lot of the older guys that are used to
it
their
is.
amps and things like that. Um, but as a singer, it's naturally when your stage volume is loud, you try to sing louder. Because I'm not. So
Right.
when I use in ears, I don't use them all the way in. I use them halfway. I like a little balance between what I hear in the mains and what's in here. So if I were to put those in ears all the way in at the mix I have, it would sound horrible. But I have it to where when I have it halfway in, the mix from the mains and what I hear in here is a great balance. Um, but sometimes that guitar amp is so loud that I end up turning it up even more. And then, it's
Yeah,
just,
becomes a race.
it does.
Here's the deal. I agree 100%. When we go to small indoor places, we all use ears.
Hmm.
But when we're outdoors, we
Yeah.
don't. As a bass player, I prefer not to use ears.
Hmm.
My drummer always uses them. My singer is starting to use them now.
Hmm.
But my old singer always had them on. But yeah, you're right. My guitar player still likes to be able to hear what's going on around him,
Yeah.
and he likes the old school.
Yeah.
So the most important thing And the reason why you have a sound man up front is to keep your stage as low as possible,
Mhm.
so you have a quality product that's coming out the front of the
Exactly.
house and it's a nice mix.
Yeah.
Because there have been times, and it happened in my band too, where you're so freaking loud on stage
Yeah.
that they take you out of the mains.
Yep.
So then they're like, well, why the hell do you even have the mains? You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. No, that's happened because when I get a rare break, and not have to sing, and my other bandmate sings, I always go out to the front and just make sure, I ask the sound guy, hey, how are we doing? Or I'm just listening to myself. And sometimes like, hey, I had to take so and so out of the mains. Hear that? He's all the way out and it's loud, So
Right.
um, but I do get it though, because as the front man, I am the focal point for the band, and I'm also the focal point for the audience. I'm like the middle guy. So if my guitarist isn't feeling it, I'm gonna feel it myself, and it's gonna show probably in my performance. And vice versa, when the audience is having a great time and that energy is coming back through me, I'm out to my guitarist, getting on him, and So I get it as a guitarist or a bass player if you don't want to wear it in your ear. So we're actually in this process of, especially with the new guys, of trying to find a balance of, okay, can we got to find some kind of solution where he's happy and you're happy. What I'm saying, the sound tech, because if, the guitarist, he's just totally miserable up there and he's not feeling his amp and he's not feeling, rock, you got to feel that music, any music, you've got to feel it. And if you're not feeling it, you know,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always evolving as musicians,
yeah.
man. And I think that, I can speak for myself, man. I went from large cabinets to small cabinets to no cabinets.
Mhm.
I went from amps to preamps, going direct. I went from ears to not ears back to ears.
Mhm.
And I think that we evolve, and the most important thing is knowing your music,
Mhm.
knowing your instrument. In your
Mhm.
case, it's your voice, and knowing what's the best outcome. Like there are times when I really want to hear the drummer, man. I got to feel the drummer. But at the same time, there's times when that snare is piercing
Yeah.
and it's piercing through my ear.
Yeah.
And now we have one of those plastic shields that you see
Okay.
at
Yeah. Yeah.
churches.
Yeah.
And we used to bring it out,
Uh-huh.
but my old drummer had a problem with it, and we don't even bother the new drummer with it. But so we don't use it. But there's a reason for that,
Uh-huh.
to have that, like because what it does is it cuts out that annoying.
Yeah.
And then my singer, and to your point too, man, you're singing a lot. You're doing 4 to 5 shows a week,
Yeah.
right? So you have to really watch and protect your voice.
Mhm.
So by having inner ears, it's going to prevent you from screaming,
Yeah.
having to hear over the crowd, over the
Exactly.
stage.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, what do you do when somebody comes up to the stage, whether it's in the middle of a song
Mhm.
or it's in between songs or it's on a break, and they ask for a request? What's your policy on
I pretend I don't see him.
that? Okay.
No, I can tell. Like I said, I'm very, even though I'm performing, I'm watching everybody, and I'm seeing who's not into the show, who's on their cell phone, who's just kind of. Sometimes, like I'll see the lady that's just sitting there. She's there with her friends, but for some reason, she's the only one sitting there. So those are the people I see, because I'm trying to get like all the hot girls. They're getting attention already. Um, the women that they seem like they're there, but they're just not there. Those are the ones I try to bring into the show, because everybody else is having a good time. I don't have to worry about them because they're having a good time. I'm looking and I'm seeing who's there, who's not having a good time, and those are the people that I
But
am.
what would you actually say to somebody if they said to you, "Can you play this?" And maybe it's either A, it's a
Mhm.
song that you've never even heard of,
Uh-huh.
or B, it's something that you've either are about to play
Yeah.
or you might have just played it. Like, how do you?
Okay. So if I'm in the middle of singing already, I'll get to the point where I'll give them the hold on a second. If I'm in the middle of a song, then afterwards I'll tell them, hey, we have it or we don't, or we'll try to get to it. Simple as that.
Sometimes you know what they're doing now. The kids are taking their phones,
Oh yeah,
and they'll write
yeah,
out like so
yeah,
you can see
yeah.
it.
I think that's a Nashville thing. I see these young kids. The young kids are the ones that are doing it, and I think because I know in Nashville.
Like Morgan Wallen, they want to
Yeah,
hear a Morgan Wallen song. I
yeah.
don't even know what Morgan Wallen sings. So I'm sorry, man. We don't know that. Like
Mhm,
I'll be polite,
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, if you're
but
truthful,
but then I'll say to them, but we're gonna do this one. I think you might like it.
yeah,
Stick around,
yeah. I don't do that. I'm just truthful to them. I'm like, hey, sorry, it's a great song. I know it, but we don't do that song. And for the most part, people seem pretty, you know, or you get the, oh, your voice is great for that song. You need to learn it, that kind of a thing.
What's your policy with the tip jar? Everybody's got a different policy on that.
So I don't ask for tips at all. When we're on stage, we try our very best to make it seen. But honestly, our dance floor gets so crowded that the tip jar is up front that a lot of people don't see it. Every now and then we'll get somebody that's graciously that loves us. They'll get the tip jar and they'll just walk it around.
Is it a clear jar? Is it a bucket? Like, what do you use?
It is it's like a clear wine, plastic thing that lights up.
Yeah. See, the lights are the key. I've learned. It took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
Put that little blinking light in there. So people are like, oh.
Yeah. But the problem again is you can't have it like this high.
Right.
It's this high. And then when you get and it's usually what happens. Our dance floor is so packed.
Are some of the venues that you're talking about not elevated? Like, I know in Stottlemeyer's only the drummer is elevated, and then the band's kind of like level with the crowd.
Yeah.
But certain stages, like we just played the Twisted Fork a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is we're really up there,
Yeah.
So like we're good. That stage has got to be like 6 foot. So we're up there performing, and there's people down below. So what we did was we took our tip jar and we put it on top of the subs. I'm surprised it didn't vibrate or move off. And we normally don't get tips there.
Yeah.
We ended up getting a lot of tips recently because our new singer made her debut there.
Yeah.
And she really worked the crowd.
Yeah.
And you can see it as a performer. I'm seeing it and I'm watching them come up one by one. And I'm keeping a mental note of myself. What are these songs that we're doing that's making these people pay?
Yeah. That's a good thing, man. Yeah, I mean, we play the Twisted Fork too, but again, unfortunately, like our dance floor usually is so packed that nobody really is seeing the tip jar. So we thought we entertained those little I call them shade thingies where you can do your QR codes.
That's the future.
We're doing that.
Yeah, I got that too.
So that's what we're doing. We actually even thought about making little just placard cards, and then putting like our schedule for the next 2 months on there. And then on the backside is a QR code for it. And just put it before the show. Just go out there and start putting them on the table.
We do on the back of my business card. There's that QR and it says "feeling tipsy?" ?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And you could leave them on the table.
Yeah.
Or be just people when they come up to the tip jar, they can grab a business card.
Yeah.
Like somebody one time said to me, "Where can I get a business card?" I said, "Oh, it's up there by the tip jar." So they went up to the tip jar. And I guess they felt obligated.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone's looking
at them. Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
And sometimes we give out those little jelly rings that light up, and we give out like little tchotchkes, and we put them up there up front.
Okay.
It's a great place to play. I don't know if you ever did the Gator Club, but
no, I haven't done the
Gator Club is fantastic because it's a late night, so you got to be able to like that. But it's always packed, man. And doesn't matter what marketing you do, you're gonna get it packed. There'll be a line to get in because upstairs is a old school DJ, with dancing from 10 to 2, and then downstairs is the rock bar with the live bands, right? And the bands are 9:30 to 2. So usually when we come off break, the DJ's up there rocking, so we can just put their music through.
Okay, yeah.
And then so it's that same thing down there. But they're slinging drinks all night long. Girls are walking around. The waitresses have those little test tube things of like glowy shot stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a party, man. And everybody's just drinking their face off. But the great thing about it is that it's so engaging because your feet, there are people right in front of you, man. Like they're lined up so close to you and back that the audience is right there, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and what's annoying too, man, and you probably have this problem. I hate it when people put glassware on the fucking stage, man. It's like right in front of my feet. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. We have my sound guy has these subs. They're probably, I don't know exactly. They're about the size of this, 2 of them. He puts, and they when he puts it down, they're about that high. And I could use it as a what do you call those, Eagle box. And like I'm up on there and they're just putting their drinks on, putting it on there, and like I gotta dance around
and they mean well.
Yeah.
I mean, like these girls, they don't know, but they don't know. Like sometimes they put their pocketbooks, their purses down, and they leave.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I'm responsible for your purse. Don't leave that purse there, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But alcohol probably they kind of just don't even think about it. So
well, the funny thing about that particular venue is people get trashed, and they're young kids, and they'll come down the stairs, and they're like 2:00 in the morning, and they're like falling down, and there's always craziness.
Yeah.
But see, the funny thing about Florida, man, is that we, like me and Larry, he's from Boston area and I'm from New York. So when we were growing up, bands didn't go on till 10, 11, 12 o'clock. I mean, it was a late night, man.
Yeah.
Down here, like you go on at 5 and you're done at 9.
Yeah.
And everybody goes home.
That's great, right?
Yeah. But
for us older guys.
But the funny thing is, I do agree. It's nice to be in bed at 10 o'clock. I'm not gonna lie to you. But what's funny about it is that like this one particular venue that we absolutely love, the people are trained to be there, get their table, and be ready to go because at 5 o'clock the band. So at 5 o'clock it's packed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they but they also are trained to order their food, eat it, and then they're out of there by like 8 o'clock. Like
Mhm.
it's so like you'll start off with a huge crowd, and by the time you get ready to wrap up your last set,
Yeah.
like where'd everybody go?
Yeah.
But it's an early to bed, early to rise community right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's knowing your venue, like, I know there's places where we play that, I have to put certain songs towards the end of the night and not try to die it down and keep that energy up so I can keep them there. There's certain venues, no matter what you're playing, you know that they're an older crowd and they're gonna leave.
Do you guys do Tennessee whiskey by chance?
Come on, I think every band does Tennessee
I tell you,
Whiskey.
so we do that song,
Uh-huh.
and we certainly play it to the room. So
Mhm.
like certain venues where it's older folks will put it up front,
Oh,
and
really?
and
Okay.
they'll come up and they'll the whole entire dance floor is people slow dancing Tennessee whiskey. They love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They love it, and we'll even extend it. We'll do an
Yeah,
extended version
yeah,
of it.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee Whiskey is just one of those songs that no matter if it's, country fans or not, everybody's kinda knows that song,
I remember I was watching the Grammys the night that Chris Stapleton and
Justin Timberlake.
they did it live,
Yeah,
and I mean I think the whole world saw
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It was an amazing rendition.
yeah. It was great, and that's kinda the rendition that we do, that version, and that's probably the most that dun, dun, dun. When you hear that
Oh
riff,
yeah.
man, it's just like everybody's
And you know what's funny, man? I mean, I didn't even know who Chris Stapleton was.
Mhm,
I heard his voice before I even saw what he looked like. I'm like, what is that voice?
mhm.
Like his voice is so unique, man.
Yeah,
Am I
it's a
right?
great voice, yeah,
It's
man.
incredible. And he was behind the scenes before he became famous. He was just writing songs for people,
Uh-huh.
and then he became famous, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah.
just won every country award for the last 20 years, man. He
Yeah,
just cleans up.
it's funny because I have a friend, he's in a band called, Blackwater Jack, and their slogan is "Get jacked up." That's funny, yeah.
Well, it's funny because there's a lot of jacked ups all over the
Oh,
world.
really?
So
Okay.
like in Florida, I'm an LLC,
Uh-huh.
so jacked up entertainment.
Okay.
Okay. But when I was going through domain registrations, then you see things from all like around the world,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's jacked up this, jacked up that. But what we do that's unique is that and we don't do it here, but the K is backwards.
I see it in your hat
So
right there.
I
Yeah,
trademarked it.
yeah.
Yeah, I trademarked it like that,
Okay.
you know?
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
A little different.
But
Yeah.
we cover Gretchen Wilson has a song called All Jacked Up.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay, yeah,
we
yeah.
cover that song.
Really? Okay.
Now, 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 now. And then it kicks in. Dun, dun, dun. It's an awesome song.
Yeah,
All jacked up. All
yeah.
jacked up. But it's funny because the name Jacked Up, a lot of people think right off the bat that we're a country band.
Uh-huh.
And we do play country, and I love the country that we do. But we also do a lot of 80s. We do a
Mhm.
lot of 90s. We do classic rock. We'll throw in some 70s.
Yeah,
Now we're doing a Donna Summer like this. We're doing this really cool disco like medley mashup thing.
yeah.
It's awesome.
You know, I mean, because I love doing all that stuff too. When I got into the band and I started kind of figuring the music business out, and then I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I want to be more than just a cover band. Because I love, like, I would love to do Creed and all those rock songs from the
Can you
90s.
actually throw them in? I mean, could you mix those into your
Yeah, I mean, right now we've kind of got some songs here and there. Like my wife's favorite song is by Kings of Leon, "Sex on Fire."
great song, man?
Yeah, so I'll throw that in there. And I want to start throwing some more of that in there, but right now we're kind of concentrating on our original music on our,
Let's
you know,
talk
like our
about that.
album. Okay.
So let's talk about so how'd you get into writing music and what have you got? Like you got an album's worth?
So yeah, we've got about 20 songs, but our strong suit is the actual music, the arrangement stuff. Where we lack, and I can write the lyrics, but where we lack, and I'll be honest, is I'm not very good with coming up with the vocal melodies. Like I've like the songs that some of my guys have come up with, but music and the riffs and stuff, I love it. But where we really are hurting right now is the vocal melodies to match that. Because as a performer, like I said earlier, I'm a very feels person. So when I go up on that stage and when I perform those songs, my job as the front man is to make you feel that song. You may not have never heard it, but I want you to feel when I put my finger up or when I do something, you feel that song through not only my voice, but my movements and my our connection when I look in your eye. But if I don't have that in our own music, I'm not gonna do
Well,
it.
look, I understand. I never wrote a song, but I know it's a
Mhm.
process.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of trial and error, and there's a lot
Yes.
of stuff you're probably throwing out, a lot of pieces of paper.
Yes.
But I think that it's just something that comes to you when it comes to you, man. Like
Yeah.
the universe opens up and speaks to you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden something happens to you in your real life, and then all of a sudden it makes sense. It clicks, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are times, man, I'll sit down and I'll write, and I can write a whole song in like 5 minutes. And then there's some songs where I've been working on it for 2 years trying to find that
Get the
right.
lyrics to the right music
Yeah,
and match it up. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know
So
what? I mean, mentioned you're working with Roberto.
yes.
We spoke off camera, and he's a great guy. I met him a few
Yeah.
times, and
Hmm.
I know he's a producer. And
Hmm.
in fact, for Jacked Up, we're actually going to be doing a couple songs that he collaborated on with
Yeah.
our current singer. So I know that you had worked with him in the past,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I think that's the key is just finding the right collaborators and finding the right people who kind of share your vision, man,
Yeah.
and kind of like get it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And they can help you get over that hump.
Yeah.
Because there are people that's all they do.
Hmm.
Like I'm a good musician. I consider myself more of an entertainer,
Hmm.
and I'm
Same here.
certainly a management and a business guy. Like I Jacked Up's my baby. I
Yeah.
own it and I created all that stuff. But there are times when I need help, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I have to turn to so like, man, like when it comes to gear, like I didn't know how to get my compressor right, and I didn't know, how to use this particular pedal
Hmm.
and what strings I should switch over to. And what happens is, man, and this is a great market because everybody, I don't know about you, man, but I have a lot of friends that share information.
Hmm.
So like I can go online or I can pick up a phone and I just get so much help.
Yeah.
Everybody helps everybody right here.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I can't really say to that. I have some musicians that I have met over the years and I've gotten close to, but I there's sometimes you just don't feel the support. Sometimes I guess Crossfire Creek, we blew up in less than 4 years. We're doing more than some bands that have been around for 10, 15 years. I'm not saying it's the case, but sometimes I feel like there's a little.
You think there's some jealousy maybe out there or some resentment?
I hate to call it that because I haven't personally experienced it. I've only heard, what you hear,
Well,
whether Beamon Crossfire Creek isn't country or, as country, you're not supposed to be moving around and dancing. He's not even country or this or that. Or they complain. I've heard former bandmates complain about how I run the band, you know. Again, I'm a nice guy until I'm not, but I try my very best to allow you to be who you are in the van. But if you don't fit within that down the road, it's not going to do me any good to try to fit a square peg into a circle.
well, look, it's a business,
Yes, it's what it
and
is.
and and you have a vision,
Yes.
and as the owner,
Hmm.
you're entitled to that vision and how that vision is going to come out amongst the bandmates, right?
Hmm.
You can pick and choose who you want to have around you,
Yes.
right? A lot of people don't realize that. I had to let people go. I mean, I had to fire people in the past,
Yeah.
and sometimes it was necessary. Sometimes it was difficult for me to do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so like I used to be a manager in advertising,
Hmm.
and I lived in New York and Chicago and L.A. So sometimes I laugh because I'm like, even though I'm out of that world,
Yeah.
I'm no
y-
longer a corporate guy.
Yeah.
I still sometimes have to
Yeah.
do
You
corporate
have to.
things,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I was in the military. I've had a couple hundred people under me. Whether it was here, I was stationed in MacDill in Tampa, or when I was in Iraq, I had people underneath me. And I don't say I run it like a military, but there's principles that I've acquired through my years in the military and working for the government and things like that that I apply to music. Because when it comes down to it, you can be the greatest artist musician in the world, but if you don't have a business sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Sometimes it's just little things like being accountable,
Mhm.
being punctual,
Yeah, that's a very big one,
being
man.
respectful.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we don't drink on stage.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think it's appropriate to go see a band whether you get in for free or you got to pay,
Mhm.
and they're up there drinking
Yeah,
or smoking.
yeah.
I think that that's fine. You could do those things, but I think when you're doing your music, man,
Mhm.
the stage should be free and clear of
Mhm.
liquor and smoke, and it should just be about the music.
Yeah.
But there are some musicians that I've worked with that demanded that they have to have a few drinks either
Mhm.
before they go on or while they're. I knew one guy that liked to get high, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, there's no place for that in my band. There's no
Yeah.
place for that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, it I'm not here to tell anybody how they need to be as an artist, whatever. And I realize there are some bands out there, they just wanna have a good time and be a party. They're not there to try to make record sales. They just love what they do and they wanna have a good time. Now, with that being said, don't go complain that you're not making enough money or you're not getting in people or you're not playing at this venue or that venue because you got to look at who you are as a musician. If you're sitting up there and you're, I'll use a bass player. If you're a bass player and you're in shorts and flip flops and you're sitting down and you're playing all day, and then you want to go try to play at the Hard Rock, no, you're not gonna go play in the Hard Rock. But don't complain about it, because you got to look at
Right.
yourself.
But the thing is that your product has gotten so to a point now, and you're such in demand that you're hard rock and higher level. Like, so like now, because you guys are the upper level of what you do,
Mhm.
you can't ever be seen wearing flip
No,
flop. I mean, like even though I want to wear that stuff,
yeah,
it's like, guys, we're doing a club, it's
yeah,
all black,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and make your hair look nice and take the hats off, right?
yeah,
The only time we wear hats, well, country's different, but when we're outside and it's like, we all, but like usually like we try to dress up and look dapper,
yeah, yeah.
and if you're gonna have a drink, have it while no one's looking,
Looking, yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well,
But I guess the point I'm making here is that you've built the product so good now that there's a standard
yeah,
and there's an
yeah. You
expectation,
can't, yeah,
so you can't go
exactly. I
backwards, man.
can't go backwards, and that goes to my original music as well. I've lost some musicians because, and I understand there's a process to writing music, but is there one process? There's there's different ways that you can come up and write music. But I've ran into some folks that they think to write music, it has to be this way. And I tried it that way and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't fit with what you do. So I try to do different things. But uh, basically, what I'm saying is, Crossfire Creek, when it comes to our shows and the music we do, the cover music is up here. And I'm not going to come out with an original album that comes down here. You know, I'm not going to do it.
Do you play originals at your show?
We have a couple originals that
And
are.
then how do you work them into the set? Do you announce it and say this is an original, or do you do it and say that was an
Sometimes I
original?
do, sometimes I don't. But so when I write my set list, I think of it as an emotional roller coaster. Like sometimes we come in just with a Jason Aldean bang, and the first three songs will be like that, and then the next four, five, six songs will kind of bring it down, and then I'm kind of floating here, and they'll come back up,
Yeah, we do
and
that
I'll
too.
bring it down. So and yeah, so as you know. A set list is very important. I've known bands, they just throw songs in there and they just throw, they'll open up the second set with Tennessee
But
whiskey.
you know what's funny, dude? I don't understand how bands cannot go to work. I said to go to work. I was about to say, which
Mhm,
is true. Go to
mhm.
work and not have a game plan.
Yeah.
Like the guy's like, oh yeah, we don't use set lists.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, man, we always have a set list.
Yeah.
We may not stick to it,
Yeah.
but we always have a plan.
Yeah. Again, that comes in a business sense. Like I said, you can be the greatest band if you don't have a business sense and a sense of like, okay, I'm playing at this venue. What is this venue? Is it a dance venue? Is it more of a sit back and relax kind of venue? If you don't know that, you're gonna go in there and it's a dinner crowd, and you're gonna come up there with freaking like hard rock. You're not gonna fit.
Yeah.
So having a business sense and knowing your audience, knowing the venue you're playing at, what time of day, does the audience the first couple hours a dinner crowd and the last couple hours a dance crowd? If you go in there with your dance set first and then this dance crowd doesn't come into the later half, you didn't do your due diligence and find out what's
Correct.
it about, and again, a lot of these musicians, they don't think about the business aspect of it. They don't treat it like a business, and
I agree.
you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
So in these final minutes, man, some
Yes.
people are listening to the show and they've never seen you guys perform live.
Mhm.
So how can they find out? Like, where would you send them to learn about your schedule? Maybe watch some videos, see some pictures.
So we are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and more for the business side, LinkedIn. But you can also check out our website,
And what is the domain? Is it crossfirecreek.com?
crossfirecreek.com.
So that's great that
correct.
you were able to secure that. That's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
And is it just on Facebook, Crossfire Creek, and takes you right there?
Yeah, Crossfire. Well, so we got Crossfire Creek band.
Yeah, because we had to be jacked up bands.
Yeah. Well, so we want to change it from band because we consider ourselves more of an act, more of an we are a show. We're not a band. Um, and I know it sounds petty, but we're trying to break away from just Crossfire Creek band, more of a Crossfire Creek act. So, because I'm in the process of making two things. There's Crossfire Creek act band, which is the cover music, 4-hour bar stuff. And then I'm working on Crossfire Creek experience. Now it's going to be an hour, 45-minute, a tribute per se. It's going to be a mix of our own originals and cover music.
Cool.
It's going to be, I grew up with Michael Jackson. If you picture Michael Jackson, Elvis, Usher, country, the new country, and rock, and mix that all together, dancing and lights.
Well, that's why,
what
man, I'm really interested to see you, man, because of all these things you're saying. I
Mhm.
mean, the fact that you're that talented and you bringing all those things into the mix, it must be a lot of fun to watch you, man.
Well, when you're in the band, you don't see it. I'm just being me. Obviously, there is. We just hit in 4 years. We hit 13,000 followers just recently. And like I said, we get people that plan their vacations from Ohio come down to see us, or we get people that drive 2-3 hours to come to a show to
Your
see our
fan
shows.
base. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of regulars, a lot of
Yeah.
loyal. Probably have a lot of new ones you pick up.
hmm
Would you say it's mostly women, mostly men, 50-50?
It's mostly women, and so I watch statistics too on Facebook. So most of our when it comes to Facebook, and I'm only speaking in terms of Facebook, these statistics and the metrics, about 65-67% are women from 40 to 65.
See,
And
that's good because that's younger than mine. Mine are 55 plus women.
hmm
So you're getting some of the younger women in. See, but I
hmm
think that Clearwater, I think where you live and play and work,
hmm
I think there's younger people. Like Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte is a
Yeah,
much older
yeah,
community.
yeah.
Whereas I think when my band travels up to Clearwater, we used to do a place called Rock House. I don't know if they
Oh,
moved.
Rock House Live,
Yeah,
the little
is
small
it did they
place.
move eventually?
Yeah, they ended up getting a bigger place. Yeah,
We saw the crowd get so much younger.
yeah, yeah.
So that's
We're on the beach. Yeah.
so you have the benefit probably of being up there in a bigger city of having a lot more younger folks come and join you.
We do. So, we thought, when I got in this band, I thought it was gonna be a lot of 20, 30-year-olds, but we don't. I mean, on our average, it's 40, 50. But I think just because, I have kids, my son's 21 and my daughter's 18. Even though they like going to concerts, they're listening on their phones and they don't really go out. Like my son's 21. When I was 21, I've been at least 50 clubs by then.
Plus, you know what? I think that when we were younger, we didn't have the luxury of the internet.
Exactly.
So, like, if you wanted to see a band, you had to get
You
off
had to
your ass, go buy a ticket,
Exactly.
and go to Madison Square Garden or
Yeah.
wherever and see them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kids these days, they don't like, my son, and my daughter, it took him forever to want to drive. I think they just didn't want to go out and drive.
What do your kids think about what you do? Like what do they think? What do they tell
I'm
their
just,
daddy?
I'm just dad, man.
Is he like a country star, like a rock star, or is he like,
He's just dad. So my dad, so we lived in Mexico for 8 years, and I performed down in the resorts down there, doing Michael Jackson shows and just doing different types of shows. And my kids did that as well. So they've been in the entertainment
Cool.
industry as they were Nala and Simba in a Lion King show performing in the resorts down there. So to them, it's I won't say it's normal, but it's not like it's nothing. It's not a big deal. Like dad, even though probably I say I'm local famous, Clearwater, Punta Gorda, all up and down here. They don't see it that way. I'm just dad who doesn't let them do this, or as my wife would say, lets them do too much.
Do they get to come to shows sometimes and they see you're having a good time and
if they want to come to the show, they would, but they don't come to shows.
I got you.
Yeah,
it's that age.
Yeah, it's they'd really dad's just dad.
What are some of the things that you absolutely love about what you're doing? Like what makes you smile, man?
Man, I just love porn, man. That's my drug. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. When I'm on that stage, man, it's like you're just in you're just in the moment. You're in the moment and you're just seeing people having a good time. You're seeing people who look like they're maybe having something in their life they're struggling with because they're at a place where they should be having a good time. And I don't know, it makes me feel good to be able to get them out of that. And like I've had so many people like, I'm going through a divorce or I lost my husband or we yada yada yada. And you just made me forget about that tonight. And like I said, I was a dancer, man. When I was 18, 19, 20, I was in Panama City Club La Vila Spinnakers up in spring break times. And I would literally, because I didn't drink, I would go to the club at 9 o'clock when there were like 4 or 5 people at the bar. You're talking about a big club with the big dance floor, nobody on the dance floor but me in the mirror by myself at 9 o'clock. Just
so you've never been shy. You're not a shy guy.
I am shy but I, that's a funny thing because if I'm standing there singing on the stage, I get really nervous. I
think that's human though, right? I mean, you're supposed to, right?
Well, I don't know. I just know that when I'm moving, I don't have to think about people looking at me because if I'm standing there, I'm looking at them. Oh my God, they're looking at me. They're thinking I'm not singing good. You start getting in your own head.
Gotcha.
But if I'm moving and I'm going around and I'm looking at other people, I'm not in my head. I'm just doing what I do. It's just in the moment. When I jump on the bar, it's not that I plan it. I kind of do plan it. I'm like, okay, I see that group over there. They're not paying attention. So I'm going to go on the bar during Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy or whatever, right in front of them. And I'm going to get them involved.
Sure.
me, I'm very spiritual in terms of God. That's I give all the glory to God. Jesus is my dude.
Amen.
Not in a sense of religion. It's more of, as you always hear, a personal relationship. You know, to me, I give him all the glory. He's the one that's directing this, whatever's happening, that's going on. At 51 years old, um, I shouldn't be doing probably what I'm doing. You know, um, but he's opened some doors. People call it luck running into it. I don't. He's lining everything up for me, man. I'm just doing his will and just being his instrument, man.
What are some of the hobbies and interests that you have outside of music? I
I'm
know
a
I know you're a very busy guy. You
mhm.
play a lot, but like, what do you like to do for fun? Like, do you play golf, tennis? You like
Beach
snowboarding?
volleyball. I'm a big beach volleyball player. My wife and I are big beach volleyball players. I played semi-professionally for a bit. Um, I'm not talking just regular beach. I'm like serious beach
Like you're
volleyball.
what, 6'1", 6'2"?
I'm 6 foot. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're a
yeah.
tall
Probably
guy.
probably 51 now. I'm probably 5'11" now.
Shrinking.
Yeah.
So you're physically active. So you still play
Yes.
the
I
volleyball.
still not as much. I probably try to play maybe once or twice a week, but lately, like the past month and going into the next 2 months, we've got 4 or 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
So honestly, I probably won't be playing much, but I do go to the beach to go work out. I do body exercises. I run, do sprints, and I'm not a long distance runner. I'm more just sprints, just to keep myself up on that
Are
stage.
you a restaurant guy or more about a backyard barbecue guy? Like, what do you do for food and
Uh, uh,
entertainment in that sense?
Um, I am a after the show hit up Waffle House and Wawa's.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
with me
yeah,
because that's the only thing open at that
yeah,
point.
right. My wife and I, my wife is my best friend. And we, no matter what we do, we just do it together. Whether it's a restaurant or we're in the backyard, or at home.
Sometimes the
Um,
best times are just being in the backyard,
yeah, man.
wearing, like your shorts and grilling something
Yeah,
that you found in the freezer
exactly.
and cracking open a beer or whatever you want to drink.
Yeah,
And that's some of the best times right
yeah,
there, you know.
yeah. I wish we had closer friends. We don't really have close friends. Um, But her and like I said, her and I are best friends, and we do 95 now. She's my boss too, and my manager. We do almost everything
Cool.
together. Yeah.
That's good. It's a
So
partnership.
yeah.
So in the closing minute here, do you want to give any shout out? Anybody you want to thank? Family, friends, musicians. What helped you get to where you are right now?
Well, first of all, my glory, like I said, goes to God first. I would to me it's borrowed talent. And then from there, my wife is the one that really got me into live music. I was very content going to karaoke and just having a good time there. And she saw something in me that I never would have thought. When I look up to musicians, Michael Jackson, Elvis, Stevie Wonder, like how can I be that guy? So I'm not gonna even try. But I realized I could just be who I am, and people seem to love it. So I give that, my wife and my family, my kids, man, they really keep me going, and my dogs. I love my dogs. But when it comes to the industry, I don't know if you ever heard the name Artie Fletcher.
Yes.
Yeah, he's with Luna Warriors
Yeah.
and
Twinkle, Rock Soul
Twinkle.
Radio.
Yeah, so we were with Artie, and I do give him credit for getting Crossfire Creek started. We don't talk now, and it's it's a shame that we don't. Um, there we had some disagreements, and I felt that, and my wife felt that we could probably do some stuff on our own, that we don't need somebody to dictate what we should and shouldn't do. But I do give him credit for doing that. The venues that we play that gave us the opportunities, and all my past bandmates, man. Even though we don't, some of them probably don't, they don't talk to me at all anymore. I learned a lot from them, and maybe during the time they were in the band, I didn't see it because, like I said, I've only doing this for 4 years, and I had to learn a lot in 4 years. And sometimes it takes you being in the band, and then after you're gone 2 or 3 months to really reflect on what you brought and what I should have learned from you. And so I don't hate any of them. It's probably they probably don't like me because I didn't do something right, or I didn't utilize them the best way that I should have. It's because I didn't know you. There are times, there are some bandmates where as soon as the show's over, they left. I'm helping the sound guy, and it's like, hey, where's so and so? Oh, he left already. Oh, he didn't say goodbye. When you're doing that for 90% of the shows, you just leave. You don't tell me you're gone. Or when I have a beach house for the summer, and I invite everybody, and you don't come because you got more important things to do. You know, But I learned. So my thanks is to my past musicians and those that have hired Crossfire Creek and gave us a chance, man. And now you giving me the opportunity to come on your show and speak my truth. And
Well, hey, man,
what
it was
is,
great
man.
having you.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. I
So
appreciate
I
that.
want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to encourage all of our listeners and viewers to come see you.
Thank you.
We're going to learn about you on the website, on the Facebook, all the dates. I will go out of my way to come see you because I haven't yet. And we have an occasional Saturday night off, so I'll make that journey
Okay,
up to
cool, man.
the Clearwater area or wherever you are.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And
it's a pleasure.
we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you,
right.
brother. Appreciate you.